Anil sir, you can please come on the stage and start the presentation. Welcome, Anil sir. Big round of applause, sir.
Thank you. I guess this is not a great job to do because I'm between you and the lunch. Okay, but I'll give you the good news. The good news is I have 6 slides. Okay, apart from the first and the last one. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, sorry. We are in Calcutta, so I said, okay, what is it that I can relate to you all? People told me Machli. Right? So there we are. So what I believe is, as a distributor, as an advisor, I have 2 options. Okay? Do I work with a large number of investors with a few opportunities, right? Or do I work with whales, big fish? Okay? And actually, in life, there's always no right or wrong answer. So in this as well, there's no right or wrong answer. When do you look at small MF investors? When do you look at really large retail volume? You know, I guess you need technology. So if you have the technology skills, if you have that expertise, then possibly this is good. Or you leverage technology, right? And then you reach a large number of investors. That's one. But if, on the other hand, you know, you would like to have a personal touch with your clients, it may not be practically possible to just keep adding clients, right? So many a times it's about the success of actually going forward, right, is also whether you are able to focus on a fewer number of clients and go deeper. So just to illustrate, I'm saying, is it, you know, I'm throwing extreme numbers here. Is it easier to manage 50 clients of 10 crore or 500 clients with 1 crore, right? So it's just to trigger a thought process, probably not practical, right? And this slide tries to capture a few things. One is these segments, right? And I'm also trying to capture what is the size out there, okay? If I want to look at which market should I address, I also look at the size. Now, you definitely, a lot of us are, say, working with retail investors. They start off maybe with tax saving options, right? Slowly they graduate to diversified equity funds because initially the trigger is, how do I save tax, right, for many of them. And that sort of gets them into mutual funds, and then they see the returns, and then maybe they sort of expand and stuff. And slowly sort of they go into mutual funds. Okay, I've captured the options. I'll go through this a little faster because I want to spend some time on sharing my experiences. Okay, and if you see, the households is actually, number-wise, it's a big number, right? 3,330 lakh households do you have in this segment. Okay, but if you go to HNI, for example, there you probably slowly start graduating to PMSs, which offer diversification. They allow you to customize a little bit like some of the other speakers earlier spoke of. And again, ideally, you know, I always like to manage risk. Okay, so for somebody who has, say, 2.5 crores, I'm not sure I would do a PMS, right? Unless, say, I'm able to do, say, multiple strategies and sort of do a combination, right? But, so that's something that we should keep in mind. While we are doing what we are doing, while one is talking about increasing a bouquet of solutions, okay, you need to look at who your client is. Is it appropriate for him? Because a lot of the time, you know, if we end up with a slightly concentrated product, if we end up with a very high risk in one product, okay, tomorrow, if things don't go your way, if markets don't support you, right, and market is always complex, right? Even the best of fund manager, you know, will never be able to predict exactly which way the market is going. So that is something that you sort of keep in mind, and AIFs definitely, there was a lot spoken about it, so I will not speak any further, but maybe to start off for us, right, as distributors, how do we start looking at these products, maybe step by step, right? First, maybe start off with PMS, you know, go through the grind, understand them, look at them, and the point is, you also need to, like the attention that you spend to your, say, mutual funds, right? You actually have to spend towards a PMS. So, in terms of market size, as you see, as you go through, you have a fewer number of investors, right? But the size is very large. So, and if you are successful, you'll probably do well, but it's not so easy. It's easier said than done, right? Because then you are actually going to compete with some of the largest names. You're going to compete with some of the larger banks, and that's going to be a very, very competitive market out there. So I mean, all of you are on this, so I'm just giving a quick slide. This is a little bit of how we do it. Okay, we look at various methodologies, try to bring a process to things. Okay, while we look at asset allocation. Okay, so right from, looking at what are the broader asset, then coming down to the sub asset, and then scheme selection. Again, within that, what is it that you look at, what are the top funds out there, etc. And yes, in fact, on some of the groups that I've been interacting, there seems to be a lot of, negative news about PMS, because I think some of us have, suggested for our clients, right, and it may not have gone right. Okay, there are a lot of, I think, bad news even from, or negative news from past, maybe a decade back or even 5-7 years back. Some of them tried. Some funds, do not work out just like mutual funds, right? So that is something that you need to keep in mind. How do you identify a PMS? Okay, if you just go by the last 1 year return, you may be having the best performing PMS fund, and it is even more so in PMS, because while you have niche fund managers, they may be very successful in certain market conditions. I remember in the previous bull cycle, the previous small cap one, there were some fund managers who were at a staggering return, unimaginable, right? But when the cycle ended, it ended very, very badly. So they lost all the past, because then you have liquidity issues where they were trying to unwind, investors wanting to take money out, it created a bit of a mess. So that's something that I'm also telling you the downside and giving you the warning to it. Okay, so while you will find that I've captured percentage of PMSs outperforming mutual funds, okay, it is there. So if you are not looking at some of these products and your customer is of that segment, I'm not sure you're doing justice to your client, right? So maybe sometimes we have biases. So the better way is to go back and see, maybe the funds that I've suggested have not gone right. Is it happening for all of them? If not, how do I identify a fund better, right? And I didn't want to only give one side to it. Okay, I want to say, okay, it's been good. Okay, in fact, if I went return percentage-wise, because especially, fund managers who are smaller are suitable, say, for small cap funds and mid cap funds, right? Because unlike a large PMS, sometimes there's no liquidity enough, right? So a fund house, you find that a number of them are not taking fresh infusion. And the main reason being that the market does not support that liquidity, okay? But the negative side to it, when you have a niche fund manager and small caps, they can end up taking a much higher level of risk. So how do you identify what is the risk that my PMS fund manager is taking? So you need to keep in mind there are change in cycles. Okay, I gave the example of what was an absolute best performance fund. Okay, if you look at it subsequently, got so much of negative news from it. Okay, the track record of the fund, the management, the processes, the governance, I think all of them remain exactly the same as what you look at it for a mutual fund. I think there's no change whatsoever there. How do you look at different periods of time? How do you understand what their processes are, right? A fund which sort of has better processes will likely to do better as we go forward. You have, the past returns from market lows may look very good. Right now we may find, even if you look at our own fund, say 3-year return will be very good. Okay, but just keep in mind, okay, that's starting from a low. Don't expect 43% as we go forward, right? That too compounded 3 years. So you may not get that. So that is something that you sort of need to keep in mind. And there could be sometimes a short-term spike, right? So you don't want to get into a fund where, they have that 1 year great return, okay, and you think that, oh, this is a great fund, let me get into it, okay, and then sort of it comes off. It may not be just because of the fund manager. It may also be because of the market cycle. Because sometimes, say, we had a small cap fund which was actually number 2 fund all India, right? But And after that, whole lot of people started coming in. A lot of retail investors started asking about the fund. And a lot of our effort was actually to go back and tell them, this is return is already somebody has got it, right? And the thing starts from now. So don't expect to see the same return. And possibly this may not be the right time to look at a small cap fund. Of course, now that situation has changed, and maybe it may be time to do something like that again. But just keep in mind that there are these short-term spikes, and you don't want to just always look at the short-term best performing fund. And I think one way of analyzing a fund house is to say, how are number of their funds doing? Is it just a single fund doing extremely well, or it's 3-4 funds in various categories doing well, and those sort of help you make a decision out there. So just to give you one slide before I sort of capture my learnings. Okay, I think Mr. K.S. Rao said, okay, this somebody started off with an office of 10 by 10. We probably started off with an office of 10 by 20. Okay, and we sort of grew it step by step. Okay, so today we are, of course we are headquartered in Bangalore, but we are across multiple locations. We've chosen to have an institutional format. Okay, and what do I mean by that? We also have an asset management through the PMS, which is portfolio management. We are both distributors and advisors. All of them are segregated businesses. Okay, and we also sort of look at various segments. So for example, one of the segments that today we are looking at is the family office side. Okay, so, and some of it sort of goes beyond. Okay, so this is sort of, it's almost now 20 years. Okay, so whatever, we've taken it step by step, maybe looking to grow exponentially from here, but the point is, I think, look at it as a step by step, even for us, while we are expanding our product range, right? How do we look at growing it one by one, getting into the next category and segment of customers, and then doing the right thing for them. Okay, the funds across categories has sort of done well. The ranking by PMS Bazaar, okay, which sort of on a crystal methodology, okay, has sort of been sort of outstanding. But this is what I'm saying. Sometimes, the last 3 years, for example, which is why we capture both 3 and 5, right, may show some staggering returns. Okay, and you will also find that it's very logical right now. The flexi cap is, let's say, a 30, while super value is 43, and underserved, which is small cap, is say 48. So that is something which one sort of keeps in mind out there. I'll give you a little bit of perspective of my journey, and I hope that if you are able to learn something from it and take it home and see how you can build your business, okay, is what I believe that I've done my job. Okay, so actually we started off doing a lot of sessions. In fact, my association with people like Yes Rao actually came from there, because a core of what we do is investor education, and that was our whole sales model. So you talk to do sessions for 100 people, maybe 5 of them or 10 of them will become your clients, which is fine, right? So we started off with a lot of these corporate campaigns for employees, a lot of them doing ELSS funds, and you had other sections of tax saving, the pension funds, etc., 80CCC, etc. That time, okay, and lot of it was driven by education. I even have people who will come back to me after almost 15 years and said, yeah, I attended your session, okay, and one did all of it myself in those earlier days, and that's how we started small. Like I said, 10 by 20 office. We moved from almost 6 offices over the years, because we said we don't want external money. We'll grow it step by step, and that was a journey that we took. Then, of course, the core of when we started off, I worked in Wipro for about 6-7 years. So I used to do, be in the business planning department at the corporate office, as well as was in the merger and acquisition side. And so what I felt, and the trigger for me to start the business was, there is, say, a lot of financial planning or business planning that happens for corporates, but at that time, 20 years back, there was not much of planning for individuals. Okay, and I planned my retirement. So today I'm talking to you of my retirement, where I said I wanted to retire from corporate life by 35 years. Did it about 5 years early. So I said, how I was able to achieve my goals is what one is trying to see how I can help others achieve their goals. So that for me was the trigger point for actually the financial planning side and the mutual funds. uh, there's a service which is a very structured, productized service, and I think we do a decent job of it. Then slowly what we did was, okay, and it also I kept in mind the regulatory environment. Somewhere I kept on feeling that, this whole entry load, etc. concept is going to go dead, okay, and those areas, that time came, and we said, okay, let us start looking at giving options to clients, because some of the clients have become bigger. So we said, how do we address their needs? And so we started, some of the direct equity, we did a little bit of PMS, okay, and we also did some of the HDFC real estate funds over there, if you remember that time. Okay, so we did those for clients, and that sort of started our journey where we expanded, right, step by step. And the last is today, we felt that because, we do a lot of complex stuff, there is expertise on, let's say, the business planning and stuff on the financial side, so we said, how do we take it to a level, and that may go even beyond financial products. Okay, for example, right from this time of saying, how do we tax plan in a very specialized way? And we may not do it all the time ourselves. We will have, experts who probably at an all India level are among the best in the country to be able to work with, those large clients. And it depends completely on the need of the client. It may be just for somebody, accounting is important. For somebody else, something else is. So it goes way beyond. And sometimes for some people, it may just be working with the promoter, helping him on his business, and giving a third perspective to him. So those are things that sort of we did. And what are the learnings in this journey, and what I would like to bring it back to you? First of all, I think as entrepreneurs, we are passionate, right? So I think that passion should drive what we do. We should have a purpose. The purpose is about, what and beyond money, right? And so how do I look at that? Did it in a very structured way. We never missed a single annual business planning exercise for ourselves. Okay, a lot of the time we do something for our clients, we may not miss it for them, but ourselves, how many of us are planning on our business? Which brings me to the point of the third one is, okay, both work on yourself as well as actually, work on your business. Today, I probably spend maybe 20% of my time, okay, with all the busy schedules I spend on my business. I've created environments, I create groups, work with other people, including I use a mentor, okay, to actually work on your business. And I think with that, broadly, I would step back and, if you have any questions, I'll take them. But I think like K.S. Rao said, yeah, set your dream, right? And that should drive, okay, for all of us. And one is to say, okay, maybe 25x or a longer period of time. We always have a 3-year plan, okay, from 2,500 crores. The point is, how do we hit that 15,000 crores? How do we hit that 25,000 crores, right? So those are things that, set for yourself goals, and like we do for clients, I think you'll do very well.